Hello again, everyone. This is James from the Board Game Binge podcast, as well as 10 Robot Games. I just split my video into two. I did one, which was a draw for a giveaway we did on our Instagram account, Board Game Binge Podcast. Go check it out, Board Game Binge Podcast. Giving away lots of stuff every single day for the next week. But I wanted to split this off separately because this is something that's got me really excited, and it is separate from all of that because this is specific to 10 Robot Games. So as many of you may know, not only do we do a podcast, but I'm the owner of 10 Robot Games, and we publish games as well. We've done a few Kickstarters. We had Tanks But No Thanks, Queen of Scots, the card game, Nutty Squirrels of the Oakwood Forest, which is recently funded. And we're currently working actually on a game with James Freeman called Hamsters versus Hippos, which is a tile flipping, press your luck type of a game, which is a lot of fun. Parallel to that, our own project we've been working on, Adam and I, my brother and co-designer, is a game that we came up with that we have a lot of fun with and is probably going to launch this fall as well. Try to stagger it so it doesn't go at the exact same time as James's game. But nonetheless, we're equally excited about this game. It is absolutely awesome. And what's got me excited and wanting to do this video is what just arrived in the mail today. I've been waiting for this for about, I guess about 2.5 weeks. It actually came fairly quickly. The first stage in doing a new game is creating your doing kind of homemade type prototypes, whether that's using cards around your house, using game pieces from other games, or whatever you need to do to make a game. Many people will even use Tabletop Simulator to create their first kind of concept of a game. Once you kind of work out the mechanics and get it down to, okay, now we're ready to have something that we can have more people play and it actually looks like a real game, that's when I usually turn to the Game Crafter. And the Game Crafter, who we've had on our podcast a number of times, are just absolutely awesome. The Game Crafter, you can go on their site and you can create pretty much anything you can imagine. So whether it be a board game, a card game, a tile placing game, pretty much any component you would find in a board game, you can customize on their site with your own artwork. And then actually have them assemble all those, print and create all those components, including meeples, quite frankly, and assemble those then into a game box that you create. So you can actually create like a full game with them. And so they're really, really awesome. We've got actually a draw coming up with the Game Crafter, again, on the Board Game Binge podcast Instagram account. I think that's going to be on this weekend, so check it out. But JT Smith from the Game Crafter was very generous to donate a $100 gift certificate for his site. $100, you can make more than one prototype on their site. Like this box I got here, which has got 6 games in it, did not cost $100. So if you are a person that has any interest whatsoever in creating a game, that'd be an amazing giveaway to be part of. And if you don't even do that, check out the gamecrafter.com. Again, they're just awesome. And the reason I kind of sing their praises is because I quite frankly use them all the time. So it's not a paid promotion. It's not anything other than I'm super passionate when I get games delivered to my office that we've been working on. And the first prototype I ever did using their service just to try it out was the Nutty Squirrels of the Oakwood Forest. And that prototype came in and I was blown away by the quality of the game boards, the card quality, the components. It was unbelievable. I was shocked at how good it turned out. And then when we were doing our play testing of that game during our meetup groups, this is about a year and a bit ago, I was actually really pleased to see that people would actually kind of stop and kind of look as they walk by and say, well, what's that game? And hey, can I try a copy of that game? And usually if you can make your game look professional, it doesn't have to be polished, but if you can make it look professional, you're gonna have a lot more people that want to try it and give it a shot and give you some honest feedback. So what I've done with this game that Adam and I are working on, which right now is called Planting Evidence. It's a card game. And the idea of this game is to do exactly that. You're all a bunch of people that were part of a crime, and you are trying to plant evidence on the other people before they can plant as much evidence on you. And the idea of the game is to basically plant enough evidence on somebody that they're accused of murder. and the person who has the least evidence against them ends up winning, but the murderer is basically triggers the end of the game. So it's a lot of fun. It's a card game, lasts about 40 minutes to play a game, and it's awesome. So we've been using standard poker-sized decks that we've modified to do a lot of our prototyping up until this point. But we're now at that stage where we need to have something that is a little more professional looking so that when we have other people play, they get it. Additionally to that is that when we've been using kind of traditional poker cards as our prototypes, we've had to kind of write on them, or we'd say, hey, create a set or create a run, but the run doesn't have to kind of be in sequence. And it was a bit confusing because a lot of people's brains are programmed to use poker cards in a very specific way over the years, whether they're playing rummy or different types of games like that. So it's important for us to actually skin the game with some stand-in artwork. We're going to replace all this artwork, but this artwork is a stand-in, so we have something that we can actually put in front of somebody where they say, okay, I get it. That's a game called Planting Evidence, and I get a sense of what that is about. So without further ado, I am pumped. I am going to crack this bad boy open. It's pretty heavy, actually. I bet you that's about 4 pounds. I think I ordered 6 decks, if my memory serves me correctly. I'm always careful when I open up a box of scissors. I did this once on one of my games. I'm pretty sure it was actually the Tanks But No Thanks game when we first had our prototypes come into Canada. And I remember I was so excited I got a knife and I cut the box open right across the tape, open up the box, and lo and behold, guess what? There's now a cut line right across the edge of all my games that were in that box, which just crushes your soul when that happens. So you only make that mistake once. So I'm very careful when I open up boxes now that contain games. So first impressions. As I open this box, eventually I am going to do like a top-down camera so that you can see what's on my table. Then I don't have to try to lift things up and kind of position them in front of the camera like this, which is a little awkward and you're kind of working in reverse. Packed with love is what I like to say by the Game Crafter. All their stuff is always packed with love. You can tell they care. Compare that to getting a package from Amazon, who I'd say sometimes are the opposite of caring in their packing of their stuff. These guys take care to make sure that, although it's not a finished game, it's a prototype, they treat it like it's a finished game. So it's going to be done clean. All right, get rid of that guy. So yes, it was 6 decks that I ordered. So this is the deck of cards. I didn't order a box for these because, again, these were just to get stand-in artwork and graphics that we could use until we have, proper art done. I have an idea of a couple artists that reach out to us up to it. I can't even talk today. Don't you hate that when it happens? You're trying to talk and your tongue gets in the way. Then we reached out to some artists for the Hamsters versus Hippos game. And we picked Caesar for our artist because his style was just so complementary to what we wanted to do with that game. But there's a few other people that reached out to us who I think would be a great fit for a game like this. So I'm probably going to go with one of them to redo this artwork. So get this open. I get so excited when I see this kind of stuff. So here are the cards. And I can see already this is more my fault in where I've laid out my borders. But this is the back of the card. So it actually looks like an evidence wall with basically all these different things on it. On the front, we've got the different pieces of art. So we've got like thumbprints, we've got DNA segments. There's actually weapons in this game that you're trying to plant on people. I'll give you an idea here. So there's that. And that. So first and foremost, what I can say is this is why I love having prototypes done. Number one, you can do them economically through someone like the Game Crafter because they specialize in small runs. So it allows me to kind of see where some of my issues are in what we've created. I ran into this on the Queen of Scots game. We did some prototypes. And at the time, we didn't have a black border around our cards, kind of like I have here. And what was funny when we were playing that game is you could see which card was kind of coming up in the pile. And there were certain cards that were worth a lot of points and they had different colors to them. Well, something as subtle as just the edge, when you see the whole stack of cards on end like this, if you don't put a border around your cards, you can actually see which card is kind of coming up next in the pile. So we rectified that. It also allows to figure out things like, spreading cards in front of you. So, I'll give you an example with these guys here. So this is some rope in this one. But see up in the top corner there's like a point system, and then we put it down at the bottom as well. We had point systems, but our cards were very similar on that Queen of Scots game, and we found that without some kind of real clear differentiation in the corner, you can't tell which is which when you have them fanned out in front of you. So that's why it was important for us to do prototypes, because you sometimes only figure some of these things out when you physically get the game in your hands. You could digitally mock it up as many times as you want, but it's not the same as having something physical in your hand. Next comment I'll make about these guys' cards is these have a nice thickness to them, right? So they don't feel cheap. They're varnished, they're gloss. The finished game will probably be matte, but for this one I chose gloss. What I like about the prototypes as well, and I've run into this with some of the manufacturers that we've used in China when they've sent over the kind of the pre-sign-off copies for us to sign off on, their prototypes are not always as good a quality of what you're going to get from manufacturing. It never is, but simple things like the knives they use to cut out the cards. If you are using older equipment for your prototyping and things like that, then your card edges are going to be very rough and they're not going to feel as nice when you're shuffling them. This game here, I can tell you right now, it is ready to play. Like it is, there's nothing about this that would say, oh, that's too rough. Like this is the same kind of quality you would have buying on a store shelf. So that's Planting Evidence. We're going to talk about more of this game in the coming months. If you are a fan of like CSI and things like that, then I think this is kind of a game that you would enjoy as well. It's very simple to learn, but it's a lot of fun. There's a bloody knife. There's a gun. So the graphics are going to change, but that's where we're at right now. So that's a box opening from the Game Crafter. Props to the Game Crafter. The quality is exactly what I expected, which is high. And I can't wait to get my next game done with them. Keep in mind as well, we are going to do a giveaway in a couple days on the Board Game Binge podcast Instagram account. So that's Board Game Binge podcast. Check it out. We're giving away games every day, but if you are into things like doing prototyping and so forth, I know I do have a giveaway for Game Crafter gift certificate coming up. So check it out. Guys, thanks for your time. You take care. Cheers. This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply join the Facebook group Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.